The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious podcast. I'm your host, the original HBIC, Katie Boyd. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously. Yeah, here I am, the HBIC, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. And all the way over here is this big mouth fool.
Matty B.
Matty B. That's
Matty
your name
B.
today?
Today I'm going with Matty B.
Matty B.
Sounds like a 1990s singer from Everett, Massachusetts.
That's Stevie B.
Oh, that's Stevie
I'm Matty
B.
B. I'm Matty B.
And in the middle is my soul sister,
Hello.
Jill Coletti. And we're going to talk all about Jill and her life. I'm loving having guests on right now.
This is
like
great,
my
right?
it's like my new favorite thing.
I love it.
Yeah, well, it takes some pressure off of me. But
No pressure.
I do love it because I really, in my heart, there's days where I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing this podcast? This is so much work. It's a lot. But then when I hear people who have actually taken my tools and like applied them and then like changed their lives, and I'm like, oh, that's why I do the stuff that sometimes I don't want to do. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a bowel movement some days, let me tell you. But before we start today's Ambitchious installment, I always love to read the iTunes podcast review of the week. And it is from Sally GEWB. And she says, Katie is life-changing and so inspirational. Katie totally lives what she preaches, authentically living in her mantra. Thanks for the wake-up call, Katie. Sally, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy life and going on iTunes and leaving us that review. Don't forget to email me at themisfitclub@gmail.com to redeem your $100 gift certificate to use towards anything KBMSC related. I thank you. And if you haven't gone over there yet and given us a review, the hell are you waiting for, you lazy bastard?
Get over there, you lazy
Takes
bastard.
2 seconds. I always review people's podcasts because that's what, people, I read my reviews.
Absolutely.
110%. Obviously,
So
I
fun.
do. I freaking say them on here every week.
Yep.
So get over there and get your shit together. So I'm just getting right into it, Jill, because that's
right.
like how I roll.
Ready.
So
I'm ready.
I've known you for about, 2 years now?
Just
Ish.
about ish.
And the first time I ever met you, you came to a spirit day. Am I smoking
Was
crack?
it Spirit Day or
Was it sound
one-on-one Reiki first?
It was, that's right.
Also, it was supposed to be Reiki, but
Okay.
it wasn't.
Yeah, you're jogging my
But
memory.
actually, we met before then,
Tell me.
though you may not remember.
Tell me. I don't remember if
prior
I took a shit this
January.
morning and wiped my ass. I don't know. Tell me.
So I believe it was before then when you came and did the Girl Scout event, a yoga.
Right.
That's
Do
right.
you remember that? The
Yes.
I
circle?
It was
remember.
amazing.
I remember that. Yeah.
You and Karina were there too.
Yeah.
So I taught yoga because
Yeah.
you guys got locked into this
It was a YMCA lock-in with the Girl Scouts.
actual fuck.
Yes.
And then, someone reached out to me from the Girl Scouts. I went and I did yoga and I brought my crystals and all these things. And I was so in awe because I am just so excited that like children are so woke.
Yes.
Like they're so into the crystals, they're so into the yoga, they're so into the meditation. Like I looked out and there was like literally 50 girls in that room and everyone just had their fingers together and they were just meditating. And that was a big inspiration for me to keep doing what I'm doing, especially, with children too.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they need it more than a lot of us do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them enjoyed that the most
More
out
than
of anything.
Zumba?
There was Zumba, which was interesting.
You were pulling.
Let's just say.
You were pulling people from Zumba.
Oh my
They're
God, the
like,
girls,
What's
like-
going on? There's
Yeah.
crystals in there. I'm going over there.
Wasn't it like the girls could do Zumba once and then yoga once
then
and then they could choose what
they
they
could
wanted
choose
to
which.
do?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Let's just say Miss Zumba didn't have a lot of people
I mean,
in
the
her Zumba
pool,
room.
they loved the pool too,
Yes.
because that's a little bit different, but they loved that. So that was actually the first time I saw you in person, but we didn't really
Yes, we didn't really talk.
chat.
And then you came the next year for a one-on-one.
Later on that year,
and we were going to do Reiki.
I made an appointment for Reiki.
That didn't happen.
That did not happen.
No. So Jill
Definitely did.
Jill sat in my office, and I was like, in my mind as like a Reiki master healer, I'm like, okay, so we'll talk for a little while, and then I'll get her on the table, and I'll do Reiki with her, and we'll figure it out.
Yep.
That we ended up talking for like 90 minutes straight, and I was just like, bitch, I'm not Reikiing you. This is like, we need to do so many other things right now. Because you were going through a really
tough
tumultuous and also ascending time in your life.
Yeah.
Where you
It
had
was
like
a major transition time for me.
So let's talk about that,
Yeah.
Jill. Let's talk about that major transition time.
Yeah, and I think so. We did that, and I have to say, the one session with Katie that it hit the hour, and you were like, "Yeah, you're not getting Reiki today," and then we kept going, and we didn't stop. But
Right.
that one session was more. I got more out of that than years of therapy. I mean, with
so
a traditional
crazy?
therapist,
Do you know how many people
was.
tell me this?
Yeah.
They're like, I've gone to
It's
therapy for
very
10
true.
years, and I went to one session with you, and like, I feel like, well, because and I've been to therapists before too, and I'll say something, and they'll say, well, how does that make you feel? It's like, bitch, what do you think how it makes me feel? I'm here, I'm like ready to fucking fall apart. I'm like one step away from freaking out.
Yeah.
Well, and I tended to have a lot of therapists that just kind of like agreed with me,
I don't want that.
and
I'm
there
the
was not
opposite,
the action stuff,
as
and
you
you were
know.
just like, girl,
We're
you
gonna-
got to get your shit together.
We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that.
And then I went to a spirit day, so that was like my real.
Yeah. You immersed yourself.
Yeah, I immersed myself, and I haven't left. Now it's my home away from home
Now
at
you're not
Katie
allowed
Boyd's
to.
Misfit Club.
No, you're
Not only
Yeah.
has Jill not left, but now Jill is a Reiki master teacher herself.
Mhm.
She holds
Yep.
incredible meditations and Reiki circles and all kinds of events at Katie Boyd's Misfit Club.
Mhm.
You actually do healing at Katie Boyd's
I
Misfit
do.
Club one-on-ones. And we're in the middle right now of getting all of your programs together, which is so awesome.
Yep.
So from this one time I met her at Girl Scout camp,
Right. Yeah.
and then did this like not Reiki healing session with her.
Mhm.
And then she came to a spirit day. Yeah. And then you help us downstairs too, which we're so
Yep.
grateful
I
for.
had fun in the
God.
dojo.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
And then your children both take karate downstairs with
They
Matt.
do.
Yes.
And
Great
you're
kids.
upstairs with us, yogaing it up and every other damn
Mhm.
thing. So
Yep.
let's talk a little bit about, I mean, obviously you probably know what you want to talk about, but I mean, I guess
We could talk about so many things.
Oh my God, we could be here for
think.
17 hours.
could. We
I'm not
definitely
even
could.
joking you, which
Yeah.
some people would probably love, because I think that people out there in Ambitchious land actually want to hear how someone was, faced with an issue or issues.
Yeah.
And how they took the tools from the Ambitchious movement, applied them to their everyday lives to really propel them to the next level. And whatever that means, because we all have different
It's
stuff,
different
right?
for everyone.
So start at the very
right,
beginning. It's
so-
a very good place to
So
start.
I think probably a good place to start is that transition period,
Yes.
which is where I started getting some of those tools and putting them to work. So I had gone through a divorce, and it was a tough time in life. My son was just about almost a year old, but my ex had actually moved into the other bedroom in our house the day before I found out I was pregnant. So I went through the
Alrighty
pregnancy.
then.
And it was, I probably should have known it was coming type of thing, but you were just like in your little world.
Absolutely.
And ultimately what had happened was I met him when I was 25, thought I knew myself, right?
Yep.
Thought I knew who I was. We got married at 27. We had some really great times. I have absolutely no regrets on anything in my life, which is something that the tools have helped me to realize. But I had lost myself over time.
Absolutely.
So it was like, who is Jill? I had
The true
absorbed
Jill.
the true Jill,
Yes.
right? So there was, the Jill growing up. There was the Jill in her 20s. There's
Married
different
Jill,
transitions
mom
in your life.
Jill,
Mom,
work Jill.
right? But it was like an identity crisis almost. It was, what's my identity? My identity was always what I did, not truly who I was.
Oh my
so
God,
it
it's
was
so true.
Okay, I'm a college graduate. I'm really good at accounting and business. I'm a business person.
Yes.
I got married. I'm a wife. I had kids. I'm a mom. And that is literally, I could say I'm a Girl Scout leader. Everything was what I did.
A label.
Yeah.
It was all a label, right?
label of something.
It's all the different masks that we wear every day, and then
Right.
we feel so disconnected to our power source, which is our true selves.
Yep. And it was now like my mission was find the authentic. So I went through the divorce. We actually were officially divorced before he moved out. And then he moved out.
What the actual fuck?
And I decided, because I thought it would be better for my children, and my dog was
Also
like
a
a
child.
huge center.
Yes.
My first, child. What was better for them was to stay in the house that we were living in, which was like 2,400 square feet, 2.5 acres of land, a big indoor, in-ground pool, and it was great. End of a dead end. I absolutely love it. Sometimes think, oh, what would it be like if we stayed there?
Right.
But I had taken all of this on. He moved out, and I took it all on. And I used to joke around that I must be on the Truman Show. Because
that's the best movie ever.
I had lost my identity and my life was just happening to me.
Yes.
And I was like living in that one step forward, 2 steps back, or 3 steps back, or 4,
And Jill and I always joke about the Truman Show because I feel like I'm living in the Truman Show sometimes too. Do you guys know what the Truman Show is? I don't know. Do people know what that is? That movie with Jim Carrey? It's like the best. And he is living in this like faux world where like he's having a bad day and it's like, cue the rain. And like he's walking, he's having the worst day, Jim Carrey. And all of a sudden the fucking rain starts pouring on him. And then like somebody hits him in the head with a snowball. And then it's like all this shit always happens. And when you're going through a really hard time in your life, like a divorce or a loss or something, you do feel like a lot like you're walking in this like fake reality where you're just like, is this fucking real life?
Yeah.
What else bad could happen?
Yes,
oh,
exactly.
I'll show you.
Yep.
And then cue the rain, cue the this, cue the that. Yep. It's true.
And it was almost, it was a Groundhog Day. It was Groundhog Day. It's all those things that you kind of think of when you think about your life just happening to you.
Yeah, waking up.
So
and
I would wake up in the morning.
Life.
I would get the kids ready, and he's a great dad. He takes the kids half the time. He wants the kids, half the time. So we split it up. So that was another identity crisis situation because, oh my gosh, I'm a mom like all the time. Why, how can I be a mom half the time?
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. And then I was taking care of the house and the 2 kids, and they were very young, and I was working full time in corporate America, and I could work from home some, so it helped a little bit. But it was like I was just doing a lot. I did not love what I was doing. I had stayed in a job for a lot longer than my soul was telling me to stay in the job. So it was just a lot of things, and I felt like there was nothing that was really just me, other than like my kids. I mean, love them. But they're like the center of my world, but I was not the center of my world.
Yeah, it's a problem.
So, it's really I went through that identity crisis basically and was going through it at that time.
So Jill thought it was going to be a good idea to just shake up that snow globe and turn it all upside down. So Jill, tell them what you did literally in 3.2 seconds. In
3.2 seconds, I quit my job. I moved.
Your dog passed away.
My dog passed away. So that was tough, but it took a couple years to get there, but first I went to the Spirit Day. That Spirit Day, I had decided to put my house on the market. It was Mother's Day weekend.
Because that's how we roll. Well, that's how we roll at Spirit Day.
I put my house on the market, but when we were in Spirit Day, we were talking about manifesting, and I was like, I'm going to manifest the buyer for the house.
Yes.
Within a week, I had the buyer.
Great.
So I got the buyer. It was it was kind of, a disaster. Again, things were still just happening to me. So like the whole transition was still tough. But I moved to a brand new town. It was closer to the kid's dad.
Pretty much all by yourself.
Helped. Yeah. I bought a house because I'm, not going to rent. I've never rented in my life. So I'm like, I'm buying a house.
Yes.
So I bought a house, but it's a lot smaller yard, the whole thing. And then my dog passed away. And that was like the kind of the cord cutting, so you say, of my life. That was all like my old life. I mean, I'll always be attached to my ex-husband. He is the father of my kids. We actually have a great relationship to, co-parent with them.
I love the part where she said I was taking 3 steps backwards.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was actually forward.
It was.
Yes.
Because you took the steps backward. Oh, God, I can't get anywhere. I'm not making any traction. Your traction was actually to go backwards so you could take a look of where the hell you were, that you're not really who you are, right? You're not even focusing on who Jill is at that point.
Yeah.
Well, they say you have to pull the arrow back.
Right.
To shoot it, right? So that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to pull the arrow back. We just always want to just be like a bull in China shop in our spiritual world. That doesn't work.
Keep going, right?
And a lot of people live like that, and you lived like that for so long. And when you came to Spirit Day, and you're like, okay, this is like I am my own worst enemy, but I'm also my best friend. And so if I can actually take a real look at my life and say, none of this shit's working.
Yes.
I'm the only one that can change it. Okay, what are the steps that I have to take to propel myself forward? And
That's
again,
exactly
it's pulling yourself back and looking at your world from the outside looking in.
It's funny you say that. I actually got a tattoo of an arrow on my ring finger, my wedding
When?
finger. Years ago.
I did not know that.
You've never known that?
Never
I just noticed it myself. I'm like, she must have been writing it with a pen and got some ink on her. Then I go,
That's
no, wait a
crazy.
second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was because
Sorry, I was just using my
exact-
witchcraft right there.
I can't believe you didn't know that.
No.
But that was
Krista
exactly
has an
it.
arrow tattoo.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
But
I did one too.
that was exactly it. And it was one of those like,
Max.
I'm not going to live in regrets. It was all part of my story. But I'm not going to keep repeating and living in that story.
Because you choose not to.
Because I choose not to. So that's what it is my life is a choice. It is not something that is being done to me or, for me by anyone else. It is all a choice that I am making to live the way that I'm living. So when I finally made that choice to take those steps and put myself first, it actually has propelled my relationship with my children, and my life and everything ongoing. And literally just a couple days ago, my daughter, who is 10, going on 25,
literally
said to me, Mom, I'm so glad you did that because you are so much happier now.
Wow.
I'm
gonna make you cry.
What was that?
And I felt like I needed to stay in that house for so long for them. And it was it was a tough transition because, she was in third grade when we moved and stuff. But now, in hindsight, she's like, you're so much happier. And her father is so much happier. And
everyone's happy.
Everyone's a lot happier because of the steps that we took.
What was the number one tool when you started working with Katie? What was the number one tool that said, you know something, I'm going to change. I'm going to find Jill. And maybe a couple of different things.
There's a couple things. Yeah, I would say the core desired feelings is definitely key, is learning to know like how you really truly want to feel every day, because then that can help you just, lead your life the way you want it to.
From a feeling, not waiting for something, event to happen before you can feel it.
Or money in the bank or material possession.
And really meditation. And all things spiritual, because I really had, I grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic college.
Same.
And all of that. I was, but I never really had the spirituality piece of it. So, I was drawn to Reiki for some reason, literally just like a couple months after we never even had a session. I ended up going and getting Reiki 1 attuned. And then
crazy.
And that just propelled my life in that direction. I started to trust myself more, meditating every day. Even, I was still at the corporate job. I started for 5 minutes in my car before I, got out, walked into the building because, it's so crazy with kids in the morning trying to get ready. And I was like, I don't know if I can meditate. I don't know how to meditate. Everyone says that. Everyone I've met through this, almost everyone says that. A good percentage of people say they can't meditate.
Or they say, I don't have time.
Or I don't have time.
Which also is very annoying.
Because
I was like, bitch, you've been on Facebook all damn day posting recipes. Shut the fuck up and go meditate.
Yeah. If you don't have time to meditate once, then you need it actually twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So meditating.
And setting your intentions. Like you're so good at that.
Yes. And we now have actually incorporated that into our family. With the three, myself and my 2 kids, we set our intentions every day with help from, inspiration from the dojo at karate and, in karate and with Katie. But we, set our intentions every day. We meditate. We have like a list of things that we, try to go through and do it. Or we just sporadically do it in the moment. So it's not just like a checkbox.
Yes.
We just make it like, authentically part of our life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it is really, it was so tough. It was so tough to make those decisions and, start fresh. But I've never been one to shy away from new things.
No.
However, I was just kind of like doing the motions. I always said I could be, if I could make money, in doing school or shopping, those would be like the 2 things that I would be so good at. But it's putting it into motion. It's like, I have, all sorts of books and schooling and all that, but it's doing.
Yeah, a lot of people are like professional learners and they're not professional doers. And you have to learn, but you also have to proactively execute. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people have a problem with in the spiritual world because they're really good at like reading self-help and they can regurgitate that shit like it's the back of their. I have friends that like can say like Course in Miracle whole paragraphs of like a book that on Audible takes 40 hours to listen to, never mind read.
Right.
But then I'm like, yeah, but your life's fucking shamble. You're not putting anything you learn into play. You have to actually learn the things and then put them into play and intertwine them into your everyday life.
Which is the hard part, right?
Is
actually
totally
taking that concept and putting it into your life.
But I will have to say that out of all of my clients, there's like a handful of people that have like gone above and beyond and taken everything that I teach and really put it into their lives, like 100%. And Jill is one of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because for someone to, have just gotten a divorce and lost their pet, which is like, to me, is like mind blowing because I've had to lose pets before.
The worst day of my life.
The worst day ever, especially with little kids too that are like, that's their family pet, right? So you have to deal with all that stuff too. Yep. Then moving, getting a divorce, quitting your job, literally one day just being like, I don't even have a fucking plan B. But I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to quit my job. And there is nothing more burn your boats than quitting your damn job and not having like any backup. And so for the last year, you have just been on this like magic carpet ride. Like sometimes it's wild, sometimes it's scary. But you always seem to, because I can tell, I know your patterns now working with you for so long. And Jill will get like really like scared and she'll be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to do. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, Jill, you're cool. And then all of a sudden I'll get this like amazing email where she's like, so I know this email's long, but I had some brainstorming. And I'm like, yes. Because she's taking that time and she's pulling back. And it doesn't mean you're never going to feel fear. Like doing this kind of work, I think, has been some of the most scary times of my life because it was 100%. Really easy before just to be like status quo. Like get up every day, put on your 3-piece suit, go into the fucking corporate office, speak the corporate language, pretend you care about the shit that's going on in the cubicle next to you, and staying with the same person even though you know that's probably not your forever person, and doing all these things. But you really, really have big balls. Hairy balls, Jill.
And all that pain led her to go inside more, deeper, right? Yes. Like she said, I was born into a Catholic school and all this stuff.
And that's another thing too, to be Catholic and then all of a sudden say like, I'm now going to meditate and I'm going to teach my children all these things.
Which you can do both. I mean, it has nothing to do with
you. You can, but a lot of Christians and a lot of Catholics, and I'm Catholic too, so I'm not like talking shit, but I know for a fact that like, and I've had this happening before, like people will say like, oh, you meditate, and then like they'll say I'm a witch. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I mean, my daughter was just confirmed, so we're still following pieces.
I went through all of my...
Jesus went off to meditate by himself many
times. God, sir, don't tell anyone that. That could hurt someone's feelings.
Well, it's just the truth. It's not, I have to tell the truth now.
Yes. 40 days
because it's not the Bible, it's not the stories, it's not the history, it's whatever the religion is telling you.
Yes.
Right.
But prayer is meditation.
Yeah.
Except, it's funny because Deepak Chopra once said, because Oprah had asked him, what's the difference between prayer and meditation? And he said, prayer is when you speak to God, and meditation is when God can speak to you. I would rather have God telling me shit than me always being like, God, I promise.
Be a listener.
Just give me this thing. I'll be really good. Because that's how I prayed my whole life. And I only prayed when shit got really fucking bad and I had nothing else to turn to, where meditation is a constant practice every day where you're allowing yourself to be in that still space and you're allowing the divine to speak to you, you know?
And that's what I try to explain to people is that, spirituality or meditation, for a specific example, is not religion. It's not religious. It is, for me, it's a separate thing. Yes. So I'm still Catholic. I still go to church.
Yes.
We talk about Jesus all the time.
All the time.
And God, we're driving down the road and my son will be like, Mom, do you think Jesus is in that church right now? We have lots and lots of conversations about that. But then we also sit and meditate. Yeah, right, exactly. But then we also, meditate and take that time for me, it's just more for myself and to get whatever is needed from the energy out in the universe.
And God is an energy, right?
Absolutely.
Like it's God energy, it's divine energy. And people say like, well, God is a man. Well, I think God is it's both the masculine and the feminine energy combined. So we can just be our best selves,
right?
But we have to allow that energy into us.
Correct.
Because a lot of us, we're just like, as you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You're living in Groundhog Day and you're never getting quiet so you can actually hear God speak to you.
Or
that was exactly it.
Or even think, like you were saying how you would write an email, or Katie was mentioning that you would get on, you get your head clear and actually have that time to think. That's my number one thing. Number one is meditation, to be able to just clear, and then to be able to take I always have my yellow legal pad and I'm always jotting things down. And I remember I went to law school, but I need my think time to be able to get my thoughts on a piece of paper and say, where the hell am I? Where am I going? And is where I'm going, is it working? Are the actions action steps I'm taking, is it bringing me to the direction that I want to be
Absolutely.
in? Right?
Yep.
And I think I know you do a lot of that.
I do
That's
that.
awesome.
I always have a book with me, a paper book.
Like to actually
like
read.
a real book.
Yes.
I mean, I have Audible too and stuff, but I have a paper book and a notebook. I always have a notebook.
That's great.
I'm constantly.
Because you never know. You could be like walking in Target and God talks to you and you're like, oh, I got to write that down. You know?
And I'll use my notes on my phone and whatever, but it's so that you don't really lose it. But because you quiet your mind,
yes,
you're open to more things, and the more you do it, the more open you are to it. So
it's a practice.
that was definitely one of the things that it's helped me change basically my entire life. Yeah.
So for women out there in Ambitchious land who have gone through very similar kind of transitional things and experiences that you have gone through, what is your best advice for them?
Is to really trust yourself. Don't just, poop. If you think about something, there's a reason why it came to your mind. There's a reason why it's there.
Absolutely.
So sit on it and really think about why is that coming up. But trust yourself because, I found that there was so many things that I was just letting other people's opinions sway me.
Yeah. And
because I had a failed relationship in my mind, I was thinking of it at the time as a failed relationship, but there was a reason for it. But I had all these fails in my head. Don't think of a fail as what we define it as. Think of it as just a piece of your life and have no regrets for anything you've gone through because there's a reason for it. But if you trust yourself and you know yourself, so truly figure yourself out, and it's okay to put yourself first.
Yeah, that's a hard one though. I think because it's funny because I always preach this, if you fill your own cup, everybody else will be fine. And it's crazy because a couple weeks ago on social media, I had posted something about this very thing that we're talking about putting yourself first. I got so much flack from that.
Yeah.
So many women inboxed me on Facebook and they were like, I don't agree with this. You need to take care of your family. You need to do all these things. I'm like, how can you truly take care of your family and take care of your friends and take care of your loved ones if you feel like a steaming pile of dog shit?
Yep. And there's still a way to have them at the forefront. They can still always be at the forefront of your mind.
And taking care of yourself doesn't mean leave your baby in diapers for 3 days and then take off and be like Thelma and Louise and go to the spa.
I'm out of here. Stay here, Johnny. 4-year-old Johnny. I'm going to the spa.
Right? And it's so crazy because I also said being of service, which you are so of service. Everything you do is okay, how can I serve? How can I serve? And I always talk about being of service too. And you're so amazing at that. And I get flack for that too because people are like, don't serve people. You just get fucked over. This is the shit that I get in my inbox. We gotta listen to
who this knowledge is coming from.
I'm not
They're probably not the brightest bulbs in the world.
I'm not saying it's right by any means. What I'm saying is I, like you, try to wake up every day and serve, and I try to, say these things, and people will fight me on it, and a lot of them are just not fucking happy in their lives.
Right. But it's all about the intentions that you have set for that and keeping the boundaries, because I never had boundaries. Oof. So I would serve.
Boundaries? What are boundaries?
Right. But I would serve to all days long and do everything that everybody told me.
Yes.
Or asked me to. Yes, I was the yes woman. I mean, I sure, I can do that. Sure, I can do that. And I'd be like, how am I going to get that done? Oh, okay, I'm going to get it done. But once I set
people
boundaries.
Would put shit on you because they didn't want to do it. They're like, oh, Jill will do it because she does everything.
Yep. So once I set the boundaries and once I started saying no to things because it was not part of my core desired feelings or not something that was going to really
I would just tell Jill, just tell him to fuck off. And Jill would look at me like,
oh, I can't do that.
Why can't I say that? And now Jill's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Is that why Jill told me to fuck off the other day when I was asking her to do something for me?
Yeah, she probably did because she's so freaking strong now.
Now she's ambitious. I can't fuck around with her anymore.
Right? She's overly ambitious. I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being part. Me. Where can people find you?
At the dojo in the gym. No.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, I'm Evolve with Jill is the name of the company that I run. And I have the website, evolvewithjill.com, and my Facebook and Instagram are the same.
So it's all Evolve with Jill.
Yeah.
I love
with
it.
Jill.
Yeah.
Jill, thank you so much for being a crusader of the Ambitchious movement. And thank all of you for being crusaders for the Ambitchious movement as well. And like I always say, see you next Tuesday.
Great job, Jill.
Jill's amazing.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.